Okay, hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Really excited to be filming another video for you all today. In today's pick a card reading, we're going to be taking a look at the energy that's surrounding you. Actually, we're going to be taking a look more at the energy that's surrounding your person of interest. So maybe, you just started dating someone, or maybe you're even in a fully committed long-term relationship, but just kind of getting a sense of, what their current thoughts and feelings are about, not necessarily you, but definitely the relationship. So as I was pulling and sort of, shuffling the cards, and even right now, I feel a little bit like anxious and like nervous to say things. So I'm actually wondering if that's going to be a theme that we see in one of the card piles today. I think it's gonna be really great. I'm really excited to hop right in, and I think we have a lot of great cards to get to. So let's dive right in and let's take a look at your person and see what their current thoughts and feelings are toward you, toward the relationship, toward your future. Let's see. Okay, so we have 3 piles to choose from today. Pile 1 is the clear quartz crystal. Pile 2 is the rose quartz crystal. And pile 3 is the opal crystal. So if you're new to pick a card readings, what I like to do and what I would suggest that you do is take a moment to pause the video and meditate on the cards and really lean into that inner voice, that inner guidance to determine which pile it is that you should watch for this type of information today. So, obviously we sometimes I can like choose a pile just based on how pretty the crystal is. While that's fun to do, I would definitely advise to just really listen to your inner voice, that intuition that's telling you, what pile has the best information for you today. It's completely normal to be, I almost said addicted. It's so weird. Again, I feel really like choked up. So I wonder if there's like some sort of like energy in one of these piles that's like afraid to say something. So I'm excited to jump right in. But it's completely normal. Getting back to the intro, it's completely normal to be, attracted to or more card piles to choose from. So if that's the case, by all means, feel free to watch any of the piles that you're sort of being drawn to today. There might be a message in there for you. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. The timestamps will be linked below. I have to admit, I've been having some trouble with YouTube uploads recently. I just posted a video, I think it was last week, where we took a look at your career, and only the first 15 minutes posted. So I'm going to also be uploading those videos, I think like separately by each pile. I'm really hoping that the energy for this video does not go that way. So fingers crossed, but hopefully that the timestamps will be linked below. And anyway, I will stop talking. Let's get into it. Pile 1, I will see you over there. Bye. Okay, hey there, pile 1. If you chose the clear quartz crystal, then this is your reading today. Welcome. Really excited to dive right in and take a look at the energy that's surrounding your person of interest, so we can determine, what it is that they're feeling about the relationship. Basically just like, what are their current thoughts and feelings surrounding this relationship or connection? Possibly even you. We'll see. We have a lot of great cards to get into today. I'll start off with some oracle messages, and then we'll get into your tarot. And then I also have some handwritten messages around signs and symbols. So it's like, if you're seeing those signs and symbols, take that as a confirmation that this reading is for you. Okay, so let's dive right in. I'm going to start off with the Lover's Oracle. Is that what this is called? Yes, the Lover's Oracle. And let's see what your person has to say to you today. So this is just going to be a message from them, from their higher self, trying to see like what it is that they are telling you today. So if you could do anything, what would it be? The answer dwells in your heart, not in your mind, for the heart is the gateway to the soul. Interesting. So I actually wonder if your person right now is sort of just like at like a crossroads in life, where they're kind of wondering like what's next for them, or maybe it's what's next for this relationship. And I think that they're really sort of like diving deep within their own heart and soul, just to kind of really determine that. It's almost like thinking about like what it is that they want to do for the rest of their life. Or maybe they're thinking of like changing up their career or something like that. And, it's like, if I could do anything right now, like the card says, like, what would it be? So I feel like they're really in like this like exploratory phase, be it within the relationship itself or just their own personal life. Like I said, maybe they're trying to find their true calling in life or their soul's purpose in life. And, that could just be sort of like a message to you from them saying like, this is where I'm at right now. So maybe you're here because they're feeling a little bit distant. And, I think just based on this initial card, I think it's less to do with the relationship and more sort of like a deep dive within their own heart and soul to determine what it is that they're meant to do in this lifetime. So we'll get into it. Let's actually take a look at the Citadel Oracle cards. We have 3 cards today, and we're just going to see, what it is that, like who your person is, right? So it's like where they're currently at in their life, where they're currently at in this relationship. And we're just going to kind of get some confirmation here. So we have the Fate, accepting help and guidance. The Walker, the unknown, a journey. Already, I'm kind of thinking like your person is really going through that sort of like discovery, that like journey where they're trying to discover like what it is that they want to do, right? So it's like, it's less to do, I think their message to you is really like, it's less to do with like the relationship. I don't get the sense that they're like, oh, I can't figure this out without you in my life. But I think that they need to, really take the time now to figure out what it is that they're meant to do in this lifetime. And honestly, like it's almost like a personal growth journey for them, right? And it's like, it's kind of like an unknown, obviously like the unknown, a journey, but it can sometimes feel a little bit scary. And when that happens, sometimes I find that, either I can get a little bit distant if I'm experiencing this myself, or, people that I know in my life could get a little bit distant. And it really has less to do with you and the relationship. Like I said, I think it's really like your person is going through sort of a personal growth journey. And then you have relationships, vulnerability. This is so great, you guys. I think really confirms for me that it's really less about, like their current thoughts and feelings right now are, in my opinion, just looking at this, would think that like you almost bring a sense of stability into their lives where maybe right now in their own personal lives, they're not feeling very stable, right? So it's like by having you in their life, and that's kind of like the sense that I'm getting. I do kind of feel like this is a pile where you are in an already established connection with this person. And, you have like an established like routine and like day to day. And I do think that like it's your relationship that keeps them so grounded. And honestly, like when you feel like grounded in a relationship like that, that can also inspire you to take action into other areas and like expand into other areas of your life. Like I can actually say that right now, like I feel very solid in my own relationship, and it's kind of new for me because in the past I had been in relationships where, it didn't feel as stable and strong. And so it kind of like held me back in terms of like other areas, right? And I don't mean to say that's like everything was so toxic where like I couldn't take action towards like improving my career or my self-development. But sometimes when our relationships feel unstable, at least in my experience, like I said, I feel like I didn't want to put my foot out there and start creating or discovering or going through like my own sort of like self-development and like growth journey, because that would just add more instability to the way that I was already feeling. So now that I'm in a stable connection, I feel like I can sort of like start to grow and like honestly, like I started this channel like as a result of that. So I think like your person is sort of like going through that right now because your connection is so strong. It's almost like because of the strength and the stability of your connection, it's honestly giving them like a solid foundation to jump off into discovering what it is that they're meant to do. Like maybe there's something that they've always wanted to do in this life, and your relationship is giving them that stability to even think about it. Kind of like how this is saying, like, if I can do anything, like what would it be, So I think that's really awesome, especially for your person. I think this is something that's going to also benefit you. And honestly, as I'm like talking through this, I feel like winded. Like, I don't know why. I feel like it's like I can't like catch my breath. So maybe your person right now is feeling that as well, where things can feel a little bit overwhelming. And I would say that maybe they want to sort of like ask you for help or guidance in this situation. But, and maybe they're just sort of like afraid to be vulnerable, right? Because it says relationships and vulnerability. So maybe like if you can, and, without being too overbearing, like see if you can help them out in any way. See if you can, reach out to them and, even if it's something small, like doing like an act of service for this person so that they can, put more time and energy into what it is that they're trying to accomplish in this lifetime. And yeah, I think right now, I don't really get a sense that they're like scared of the unknown of the journey. Like, I feel like they're pretty much like at peace with it. Like I said, there's like a sense of like stability. Obviously, I'm getting a little bit choked up. So maybe they're like afraid to tell you how nervous they are about this. So they're coming off as being like stable and strong when like the reality is like they're feeling like really kind of like scared, because they're making a change. So like I said, I think that they do need some assistance. They need something strong, like to come in and sort of like chop through some of this like anxiety that they're having. Like if you could kind of see like this person is like all tangled up in this string, and all it takes is something really strong and stable to come in and untangle it or cut through. It's almost like a breakthrough, because it's like if you cut this, it's like the strings don't necessarily untangle, but they break through. So maybe, like I said, like if you offer them some sort of like help or assistance in some way or some guidance, like you don't even know, you might even offer like an opinion on something that they're trying to do. And that might even be like, oh, I never even thought about it that way, and that might like inspire them to move on to the next stage of like whatever this process is. So, I think, like I said, I think your connection is really strong and stable. And if they are acting a little bit distant right now, I would definitely, try doing something nice for them. Try offering some help, some assistance, not unsolicited feedback, but if they ask you for your opinion, like offer it where you can. And I think that they'll really appreciate that, because I really do feel like they're trying to figure out like what it is that they're meant to do. Okay, so let's get into your tarot cards and let's just get some messages to see, just to kind of get a better sense of what it is that this person is currently feeling. So the King of Coins. We have the, oh my gosh. See, I feel like there's some like nervous energy in this pile. I can't get over it. We have Justice. We have the Nine of Cups. We have the Four of Wands. Okay, and then we have the Six of Wands. Gosh, I don't have enough room here. And you have the Lovers. And I did have to zoom out, so there might be a cut in the video, just so that I can fit all 6 cards here. Okay. Okay, yeah, pile 1. I do get the sense that your person is trying to bring balance into sort of some things that might make them feel a little bit more financially secure. Because at the end of the day, I think what they want with you is like an ultimate commitment. And I think though, before they get to this stage, it's almost like they want to be in a place where they're so satisfied and maybe like doing something that feels really authentic to them, be it a career change or starting a new hobby or just anything that makes them feel like, obviously your relationship would make them feel like they're on top of the world, but I do think that they want to be in a little bit more of a stable place before they will ultimately come forward and, offer you, the next step in terms of commitment. For some of you, that could be, marriage, whatever that looks like to you and your culture or your beliefs. But at the end of the day, I see this being very successful. I mean, there's nothing but happiness here. But I do feel like what your person wants is for there to be a little bit more stability and balance before you can sort of come in together and like co-create in this life. But I do ultimately see that happening. It's like there's a lot of symmetry, at least what I'm seeing like with Justice and the Lovers. And it just sort of feels like your person wants to be in this position of like, I don't want to say power, but definitely more like financial stability. It's possible that for some of you, your person is going through something like a legal matter, something like that. Maybe they're studying to be a lawyer and they want their degree before they move forward into proposing or something like that. I think though, ultimately what I see is if it is the case where they're in sort of some sort of like legal situation, I think that will play out very favorably for them, which will give that person the financial stability to come forward and really just sort of solidify your connection. But ultimately, like if we're looking at the cards, what their current thoughts and feelings are toward you, I feel like this person is like obsessed with you in a good way, in a non-creepy way. I really do. I think what you bring to this person's life is a lot of happiness, a lot of joy. I see you having a lot of fun together. I see this being just like a really stable, solid connection where there's such possibilities to really build upon like a solid foundation of, it's just like the ultimate connection. I really love these cards for you, pile one. Honestly, this entire time, I really do. And I think that your person feels this way about you. I think that they feel like you bring them so much joy and so much happiness. Maybe you share a hobby together, or maybe you like to run these, the Four of Wands in this case is they're on the beach, but maybe it's, you have some sort of like shared something like hobby, thoughts and feelings, like something that's shared between you two, which they feel is really deep and really soulful. Even if they're not very much of like a, spiritual person, I think there's an undeniably deep aspect to your connection, which your person definitely feels. And I really do see you bringing this person so much joy and happiness that they don't want to lose you for sure. I really do think that they will come forward with, that next step in your relationship, moving in together, getting married, getting proposed to, getting engaged, even if it's just becoming more committed to each other. Like maybe you just started dating and, you obviously don't want to get engaged right now, or maybe you do. Whatever that next step looks like for you and your person, I see them wanting to move forward and take action toward it. And I really do think that this has the potential to be a really solid, stable connection. There's a lot of room here. It feels very strong. So I hope that you feel that too. And like I said, if you feel like your person is being distant, I was kind of getting that earlier in your reading. I do think that it's because they want to, they also see the depth in this connection, like I said, and I think you do too. But I do think that they want to come at this from a place of more stability. It's almost like they don't want to take this next step into your future and potentially damage, or it's almost like they want to take like a responsible step into that next step into your connection, because they feel like if it's not stable or not responsible, they're afraid of losing you, if that makes sense. And you might see it as like, I don't care, like I just want to be with you. You know what I mean? But I do think that they're coming at it very practically because they see this long term. They really want to do things right. They want to have have it all with you. They want to, maybe it's even like for them, I'm getting this kind of like interesting message where it's like for this person, they might almost be like clearing out some sort of like karma from the past. Like maybe in the past, either they were wrongfully treated or, whatever. And this is sort of like your connection is almost like their redemption for that. So like they don't want to like mess this up because maybe like, that they like, maybe like in their past relationships, they like rushed in too soon, or, they didn't consider certain things around stability before they took action. And I think that didn't play out very well for them. And I think that they ended up very heartbroken. But I do see some sort of like karma being cleared for them by way of your relationship. Like maybe your relationship is very healing for them. And so, by that count, like it's like they don't want to mess this up again. So they want to do things the right way. That's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting. But either way, I think pile one, like your person definitely, I would think, is in love with you just based on these cards. And I think that there is a lot of room for long-term, like a long-term happy connection, which is awesome. Okay, let's get, so I do have a card here that I pulled earlier for a sign and symbol. So based on your reading, I would say like, what is the sign and symbol to keep an eye out for? Maybe like when this person, maybe it's like, like I pulled this as like the sign and symbol for like what the person in your connection wanted to say to you. So maybe it's, this, look out for these signs or symbols. I think this person's going to be really nervous. I feel like so nervous right now. I can't even talk. Jeez. Like I can't even form words. I'm like afraid of like what you're going to like if you're going to say no. is like the thing. So keep an eye out for this sign or symbol for when this person might take that action into this commitment that I'm seeing here. So for you guys, pile 1 is feathers. So you might be in a situation where you just start seeing like an exotic feather. Maybe you're in a place where, you know, you live in a town or a city where like there's not just like free roaming like peacocks. I don't know why that came to mind. But maybe you see like a really exotic feather in a place where like it does not make sense at all to see a feather. You know what I mean? Or maybe you're just starting to see like an abundance of feathers in certain situations, or like, you know, a feather lands on you or something like that. You know, just keep an eye out for feathers in weird situations. And I think that's going to be your sign that this person is going to, soon after that, take action toward you. All right, let's get some zodiac signs, and then pile 1, that will be it for your reading today. So for pile 1, their current thoughts and feelings toward them. There's some zodiac signs. Okay. So Leo. So August could be a big month, which is coming up. Honestly, it's very soon. We have Aquarius. Someone's birthday could be significant. Like I feel like maybe they'll like a birthday dinner, like really make a big deal and come forward to you then. And then Virgo. Okay, pile 1, you have Leo, Virgo, Aquarius. These could be zodiac signs of your person. They could be your zodiac signs. If they're not like anything, like don't disregard the entire reading. Like obviously take what resonates, leave the rest. But, you know, or it could be like times of the year. So like I said, August, September could be big. And then Aquarius, is that January? I think so. So those months, or, you know, these seasons could be really, really important to your person or your connection. And like I said, keep an eye out for those feathers. And pile 1, I think this is an awesome reading. I'm really excited for you. I think your person loves you deeply, and I think you love your person deeply. So if you're worried at the moment, I don't see anything to be worried about. I think this is really, really strong and stable, and I look forward to seeing your connection progress. Come back, comment if this video resonated, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, hey there, pile 2. If you chose the rose quartz crystal, then this is your reading. So in today's pick a card reading, we're going to be taking a look at the energy that's surrounding your person, and specifically what their current thoughts and feelings are toward you, more specifically toward your connection and the relationship. So we have a lot of great cards to get into today. Some oracle cards. We'll start off with a message from your person, and then we'll get into your tarot cards, and at the very end, I do have some signs and symbols. This could be, you know, based on like this is really gonna be based on what your cards say. So in pile 1, it was, you know, when your person would come forward with the next step in terms of commitment. So we'll see what your reading has to say, and then this signs and symbols card will determine timing around these messages. So let's get started. Okay. I'm going to start off with the Lover's Oracle card, which is going to be a message from your person's higher self. So if your person was here today, what would they want to tell you? Okay, pile 2. It is important right now to take a step back and spend some time alone. Instead of placing your focus on another, now is the time to give to yourself. Interesting. So pile 2, I actually wonder if you're here today because you're starting to sense some distance from your person. It's possible that maybe you both decided to take some time apart, or maybe your person has expressed that maybe your person just has expressed they need to take some time to focus on themselves. I'm getting more of the sense though that this is a group of people who maybe are taking some time apart from their person, and it really may have been a surprise to you, is what I'm kind of feeling. If this is resonating, you know, I kind of getting the sense that this is gonna be like a specific reading for a specific group of people. So if this isn't resonating with you, feel free to, you know, pick another pile or keep listening. There might be some messages in here for you. But again, I'm getting the sense that this is really specifically people who are separated from their person right now. So I think, you know, as the card is suggesting, if your person's higher self is saying this, it's really important for them to really just take a step back, take a deep breath, get some me time, focus on yourself versus focusing on giving into another person or into a connection. It's kind of like the vibe of like you need to fill your own cup up first before you can give into another connection. And I just get the sense that your person is really in that energy right now where they could be, being really distant or, like I said earlier, if you're in the camp of people who are actually taking some time apart from your person, I actually see this as being beneficial because it's really now isn't the time to be together, or now isn't the time to focus on anything but giving to yourself, if that makes sense. So I think that's really powerful. Let's go ahead and take a look at your Citadel Oracle cards. We're going to take a look at your person, their current energy, get some vibes on what it is that they're currently going through, and some information that might help give a little bit more color to this very powerful statement from their higher self. So we have the Hunter, sure-footedness, predestination. We have the Weaver, rediscovery, transition. Oop, and I bumped the camera. Sorry about that. Okay, and then finally, we have the Merchant, self-worth, trade. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I'm getting the sense if we're going off of their, initial message, which is really just pouring into their own cup, I get the sense that your person right now might be actually focusing on, there's a lot about focusing on themselves, right? They're very, very sure that they should be doing this. I get that sense that this feels really, really right for them. I don't get the sense that they're doing this for any like malicious reasons. I don't think that there's an interest to take time apart to see other people or to do other things. Like, I genuinely feel like this person is trying to establish themselves. Oh, Sophie is literally over here meowing. So maybe a cat meowing is a sign for you. No, but I think that your person is really sure that, they're very confident in the fact that they should be focusing on themselves right now, or at least their own worth, their own self-worth, or their own sort of business. Like maybe they have expressed that they need to maybe take some time apart, or maybe not so literally, right? Maybe they've expressed that they need to almost like, not turn a blind eye to the connection, but maybe it's like, okay, I really need to start focusing on this business idea that I came up with. And that's where they're sort of like their focus is on right now. I'm not getting the sense that, especially based on that first card, that they're really focused on a connection. Like I said, this really feels very much like a desire from their end to go in a new direction. But I don't feel like it's in a new direction with another person, like genuinely. And we'll see obviously like what comes up in your tarot cards. But I do feel like there's an interest here for them to like almost like rediscover themselves, or like transition into like a better version of themselves, and maybe it is like this like business idea that they came up with is a way for them to establish themselves a little bit better financially. And that will help them sort of like transition into something where they can come back to you and say, hey, now's the time where we should be together, or now is the time where we can sort of focus more on building the connection. But right now, and I would say like my advice to you even is to also do the same. So like do a little bit of like self-worth or self-discovery, do a little bit of like figuring out who it is that you are. And I think if you both go through this, I do think that there's a potential for the focus to shift from this more like inward direction, like into yourselves, and more into pouring into each other's cups, if that makes sense. But either way, I do think that it's interesting. There's more of like a balance thing that's like happening here, right? It's like, it's almost like I'm seeing like the two antlers and the Libra scale and the two hands. It's like, there's something about like bringing balance into oneself is kind of like what I'm feeling. And I think really kind of like establishing more of like a solid foundation for this person to grow. It's like I'm seeing a lot of like fruit and plants and things like that. And I think that that's, it's kind of impossible not to like it's basically like impossible to like tend to your own garden, kind of is like what I'm getting. Like they need to like figure themselves out. But again, like I'm not getting like a super malicious or, I don't know. I'm not like getting like, it's like, oh, like I need to figure myself out and then date like 7 other women. Like it's like, that's like not the vibe that I'm getting, or 7 other men, or, whatever. I do feel like this person just genuinely needs to pour into their own cup for a bit. It's sort of like my vibe. but we'll obviously see what the tarot cards say. So we have 6 tarot cards to take a look at today. I might need to zoom out the video so that they all fit in the frame. I have to do that in pile 1, so there might be a cut in the video unexpectedly. But let's go ahead and get started. So we have the 6 of Swords. We have the King of Swords. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh. We have the 2 of Cups. We have Temperance. We have the Queen of Swords. Interesting. That's where I'm thinking like you guys are both very balanced out here. And we have the 7 of Swords. Okay. Okay. Yeah, pile 2. I'm getting the sense like there is this sort of like energy, right, of like a desire for a transition or a change. And I think that's really interesting how your pile sort of opened up with that. And then at the same time, like your oracle cards ended with rediscovery or like transition. So it's almost like the energy is like moving into a place, like a better place. But right now it might feel a little bit like uncomfortable for both of you. But ultimately, I think it's about like bringing balance in. And I think it's also interesting too, how I said that earlier, how it kind of felt like there was like a balancing that needed to happen. And it's really, I think like what I said earlier too about like, you know, you should really be doing the same right now, like when it comes to pouring into your own cup, because and I think that's going to help bring some balance and stability back into this connection. Like no matter what happened, like I said, I'm not getting the sense that there's like any sort of like malicious energy here. I mean, obviously we have the 7 of Swords, so someone might not be completely truthful about the situation or how they really feel. But I don't get the sense that it's because there's like other people or like a third party situation. I'm getting more of the like they might be just like embarrassed to tell you that they desire to transition into this next phase of their life. But ultimately, I do see this like coming back into your relationship in like a positive way, or into your connection in a positive way. I think right now, I think would be important to have a conversation with this person about what it is that they're currently thinking and going through, because I think that conversation will ultimately, I think what's going to happen is I think it's going to be decided after that conversation. And I think it's going to be very pointed and very direct that this person wants to focus more on themselves. And I think it's because they feel like they'd be like cheating you out of maybe like the connection that you're looking for. You know, so they're like, I know you want this type of connection, or you want me to be this type of person, but I can't just yet. They need to sort of like do a little bit of like self-discovery, and also like figure out how they can transition out of some sort of negative energy isn't the right word. It's like a confused energy. So they need to like focus on themselves and really pour into their own cup right now, so that they can come back, and which I do see them sort of like coming back more balanced, the energy of your connection feeling more balanced, more nurturing. And it's going to like put you two in a position where you can really start to lay out a foundation. And I think I do see you both moving on from this sort of energy that you're currently both in. I think you know very, very strongly that you want to be with this person. I think they know very strongly that they want to be with you. I'm getting the sense right now that it's a little bit cold. Like I'm getting the sense that there is love, there is affection, there is like that safety in the connection, but it's a little bit cold right now. So in order to bring that warmth back in, like we were talking about earlier, I do think that your person wants to focus on pouring into their own cup, whatever that means. But I do think that you both need to have a conversation about it. I do think that the person is going to find the strength to move forward and to actually, you know, set out into transition into a better person, or just to kind of like figure themselves out a little bit. But ultimately, I do think that you both need to do that. And I think that, like I said earlier, is going to really sort of be the energy that lays a foundation for you two to really create a solid, stable relationship. And I think that's ultimately what you want. Like you don't want to lose this person. I don't think that this person wants to lose you, but there's really an emphasis on being honest and open about what it is that you want, having that conversation, and be willing to see things from their point of view, because I don't think that it's as scary as like losing this person entirely, but I do think that some time apart or like some time to like focus on yourself is really, really important right now. So you'll know what I'm talking about if this is resonating, which I hope it does resonate. But ultimately, like I said, I don't see this. I do see this as being something like where they feel like they're cheating you out of some sort of experience, but it's not necessarily like they're cheating on you, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's sort of a worry or a concern of yours. I don't see it in the cards. Obviously this is a general reading. There is sort of an element of it being cheeky, sort of like getting away with something or feeling guilty about it. But ultimately, I don't see it being about another person. So I hope that that's helpful. Okay, let's take a look at this signs and symbols card that I pulled earlier. And this is going to, based on your reading so far, I think this is going to tell us really, when will things start to shift positively in your favor? So basically, like when does the universe want you to, like what are some signs and symbols that you need to look out for when you'll know that things are starting to shift positively in your favor or positively in your connection? Okay, so a bunch of annoying things happening. So this could be, you like have a day where like everything just seems to be like going wrong, right? So it's like you miss the bus or you miss the train and then you have to wait, or you miss your flight, or like, your grocery bag rips on the way out of the car, or like something like, it's just like, oh my God, like one more bad thing. Like if you have a day where it seems like nothing is going right in that way, like nothing like really serious, right? Like no one's going to get hurt, but it's like, just like one of those days where you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe. If you start to have one or more of those days in a row, I would take that as sort of a sign that this person is either going to come back or that things are going to start shifting in this positive way. The transition in terms of your connection will start to shift soon after that. So let's actually get some zodiac signs. These could be your zodiac signs. They could be zodiac signs of the season or timing of when things could be important in your connection. So take what resonates here. Okay, so we have Capricorn, Libra, and one more, Sagittarius. Okay, so relatively speaking, if this is like this year, I don't see this being very far off, or this time apart, or this self-discovery phase of your connection, or yourselves rather, is very long. Like, in fact, I was kind of reading these as like signs or like timing of like when this shift is going to happen. So if that's the case, if that's also how you saw it, then that is very soon. And yeah, I think pile 2, I think all good. Like these can be really scary messages to hear, like time apart or all these things. But I think if you also focus on pouring into your own cup, it won't feel that bad. And I think you'll both be coming back into your connection, or, maybe it's not as dramatic as that. Like maybe it's just, the focus will shift back into your connection once you both have filled up your own cups. So pile 2, I hope this resonated. Comment below if it did. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, hey there, pile 3. If you chose the opal crystal, then this is your reading today. I'm finding that I'm like becoming more obsessed with opal crystals lately. I think they're so pretty and cool. And also I feel like opal is largely found in Australia. I could be wrong on that. Like, please don't call me out if I'm wrong, but don't hate me. But I, which could be an interesting confirmation for you right off the bat. If Australia is important to you in your connection, then maybe that's the reason why you're here, because you chose the opal crystal today. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking, or I should say rambling. A lot of great cards to get into today. Really excited to dive right in and take a look at the energy that's currently surrounding your person and how they currently feel or think about your connection. So it could be, just basically like just getting like a vibe check of like where they stand, right? So we're going to be taking a look at some oracle cards. I have tarot, of course, and then also a handwritten message that will get into some signs and symbols. How I've been approaching that card is based on what it is that your person has to say or, okay, hold on. My cat is literally chewing on my dress. Sophie. Hey. Okay, sit down, I'm holding her. I'm just going to Sophie, stop. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll edit that out, maybe not, or you can just see the chaos that is ensuing behind me. Anyway, the way I've been approaching the signs and symbols card is based on your overall reading. So in piles 1 and 2, it was more based on like timing of when things in the connection would shift based on some messages that we saw here. So we're going to approach that the same way in your reading. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start off with a message from your person and specifically their higher self and just see what it is that they want to communicate to you today if they were standing in the room with us right now. Okay, pile 3. The past is now behind you. Release it and embrace new possibilities. A new path is now available to you. Follow it with faith. Okay, so pile 3, I think it's just some vibes that I'm kind of like picking up on based on that. Is, it's possible that you have had a somewhat difficult past with this person and maybe either one or both of you are, specifically your person, it seems, wants to almost move forward or, move on from whatever that sort of more negative or difficult past was. I think what's important for me in this card, at least, is like, you don't want to just kind of forget the past, right? Unfortunately, we can't do that. And I think the past oftentimes is almost like a guide or at least like leads us to, this sounds really cheesy, leads us to the future. But no, I think it's sort of like, okay, like there's a lot that you can learn from the past and there's a lot that you can learn with your interactions with this person in the past. And I think that they are willing to take some accountability for either their actions, maybe your actions as well. And I think that they're willing to sort of step forward on a new path forward with you. But first, I think what needs to happen is sort of a recognition or an awareness, at least, that the past had happened. And, it's not like, it's not like they're saying like, please forget the past. It's just that the past is the past. It's behind us. Let's, release it. Acknowledge that it's still there, and from time to time some memories may pop up, some conversations may pop up, but it's important to stay focused on the new path and follow it with faith. I think it's important too. It's like follow that new path with the understanding and trust and faith that you're making the right decision. So let's get into some more oracle cards. These are from the Citadel Oracle deck, and these will tell us, just give us a little bit of like paint a picture, we'll say, of where your person currently is energetically. Maybe give us some insight into what they're currently going through. I love this deck. It has like a variety of different messages, so we'll see what comes up. But so you have the Masquerari. I probably didn't say that right. Masquerari? I think it is. Hiding your true self, projection. Okay, you also got the Smith. Overthinking, taking action. And the King, control, reversal of fortune. Interesting. Okay, so I think what I'm seeing, at least off the bat with this Masquerari card, if I'm saying that wrong, I'm going to be so embarrassed. Hiding your true self and projection. I think there may be, like we were kind of talking about, like some like things that may have happened in the past. Maybe this person was acting out of, not acting out of integrity, or, it's possible maybe like you weren't acting out of integrity. Maybe there was some things happening in your connection in the past, which, led one or both of you to really hide your true self because it made it difficult to be vulnerable with each other. And I think with this card is really sort of like giving us the confirmation that that's the case, or maybe it's what's kind of giving this away for me right now is sort of like the happy and sad phase, which is, kind of like acting, right? Maybe over the past, I was going to say a couple of years, so maybe that resonates with you. You've had to almost like hide how you've been feeling about the connection. Maybe it's out in public, like with your coworkers or like with other people, because you didn't want to feel like you were going to get like their unsolicited advice on how to handle the situation, which is interesting. So like there's kind of like a dual message there. One is, I think someone wasn't being authentic to their true selves, or at least being vulnerable in the connection, which was causing them to wear sort of like that mask. And that may be one or both of you. And then the second part of that is really sort of like wearing, like almost like putting on a fake smile just to kind of like appease like society, kind of. Like maybe there was like reasons why you couldn't let other people know how maybe unhappy you were feeling in the connection, or, what was really going on. But I think the mask is really important, because I think what I'm kind of seeing, at least with the new path forward in this card, is really like, it could be like releasing that mask, and really stepping into a place of vulnerability. I think I'm getting that more so with this like taking action and reversal of fortune. What I'm getting with the reversal of fortune, really interestingly, is almost like if you think about like releasing the past and taking a new step forward, that almost like releases you from another outcome, right? So like if you didn't release the past and you sort of like stuck in that same pattern or that same energy, like that would essentially be your outcome. And maybe that's not what was meant for you or this person or your connection. And I think by taking action, by releasing the past, or like releasing what happened, or releasing this, or like having the conversation with this person about like, can we move forward? I think that's going to clear a lot of air, and therefore sort of like put you on a new path, which is ultimately like reversing your like destiny, kind of. Like that's kind of like what I'm seeing here. But ultimately, I do think that this person wants to sort of like take control of the situation. With the King card, I'm almost seeing someone like take complete like responsibility or ownership of their mistakes, and really come at or like reapproach the connection with some vulnerability. And I think this is something that they've been obviously thinking about a lot. They've been wanting to take action. It's almost like what I'm seeing is like forge a new path. Like see how this is sort of like, like this person is like forging a new tool. Like it's like they want to really take that action and stop thinking about it, and really just move forward and release the mask, become a little bit more vulnerable. But really it's going to come from this person, I think. At least that's what I'm seeing. Okay. So let's get into your tarot cards. Let's see what messages tarot has to say about the situation. So we have the Six of Cups. We have the Three of Wands. We have the Eight of Swords. The Moon. The Magician, and the Nine of Coins. Okay, so right off the bat, which is interesting, I think this person has been thinking about taking this action, or like thinking about this for a while. Like I think they've recently come into their own awareness that there's something that needs to be addressed and move forward. But it's possible that they were sort of the person who was keeping things stuck in like a pattern of stagnancy almost. And what's interesting is with the Eight of Swords, this person is wearing a mask, which is what we saw earlier. And it's almost like they were holding themselves, or possibly the connection, or moving forward in this connection, they were holding themselves like back, right? Like the answer has always been right in front of them, I think, if they were almost willing to see things from a different perspective, maybe take ownership, like have the confidence to fight through some of the unknowns of a connection. And I think like that's what needs to happen almost. It's like once they take off that mask and they come through as like their true authentic self, which might come through in like form of like a conversation, really, of them just being like, just like laying it all on the table and being like, look, like this is who I am. I'm sorry for treating you poorly in the past. And that's obviously up to you to like decide if you want to stay with this person. Like just because I'm telling you this in this reading doesn't mean you need to be like, oh, okay, everything is fine now. I think obviously, acts out of your own sort of wants and needs, but just kind of just saying that, I don't want anyone to be like, oh, well, the reading said I had to do this. Like free will exists. But I do think that there's sort of, there's going to be some sort of like, I'm picturing, especially with this card, like almost like a release of like emotions, or like a release of like a floodgate of like emotions and whatever coming in from this person. And I think that's really going to come from them being vulnerable. I think their lack of vulnerability is what has been like holding them back, and I think maybe causing some of those issues in the past. But really the answer has always been there in front of them. It's really sort of like their own fear of the unknown, their fear of a deep connection. Like they have some fears around this, but it's really like centered on themselves. And I think it really has to do with this act of vulnerability of stepping into like their true authentic self, which might be like a little bit weird, like maybe like their authentic self, like they're not proud of it. But either way, I do see them sort of taking this action and really coming to you, just like laying it all on the table and really just trying to fight through some of these fears moving forward. I do think that this person sees you as their person, like genuinely, like as works. The cards are sort of like flanked with like the Six of Cups, which is typically like a soulmate card. And then I think that they see you as like this like goddess kind of energy. Like sometimes I see the Nine of Coins as like this like untouchable woman, and whether or not you're a woman or a man or however you identify, that doesn't matter. It's just like, I just sort of feel like it's like this like unattainable, like, person it's like a goddess, like glowing goddess, like whatever, you're almost like, they almost see you as being too good for them kind of thing. And so maybe they sort of retreated within themselves and were afraid that if they showed you who they really were, then you wouldn't be interested in them. But I think that they've been wanting to have this conversation with you, or at least take this action and move forward on a new path together for a while. I just kind of see them sort of like waiting for like the right moment. And I think it's sort of like almost like a procrastination loop because it feels comfortable. They sort of like built out this like comfortability of fear. And that sounds so weird, but like it's almost like it's just easier and more comfortable to like remain in the fear than it is to break free and really step into the true possibility or potential of the connection. And I do think that with the Six of Cups here, it's really sort of, at least, I don't want to put too much pressure on the connection. And like I said, I think depending on what it is that happened in the past, like that has to be up to you. But the energy here is suggesting that this person was meant to be in your life. And I do think that they do see you as being really too good for them, really. And I think that, they want to move forward in terms of a really solid, stable connection. And I think at this point, they're hoping that, you come back, or that you both can move forward. I actually do see them sort of like waiting on you in a sense, that they're sort of like waiting on you, maybe like the past, maybe some things have happened and you two went your separate ways, but there's always been sort of a hint, maybe you even knew it too, that they'd come back into your life, or a hope. I think that they're the ones who really are working on themselves, and yet at the same time hoping that they're right about the connection being as deep as they feel it, and hoping that they can sort of like work through the fears in order to reapproach you, or to sort of like pull you back in. And I don't mean like pull you back in like sort of like a negative way, but I think they're going to, I think they're going to come back. And they want to have a conversation about moving forward. And hopefully you'll see, like, I think they're going to do a lot to like, hopefully make you see that they've changed. It's kind of like what I'm seeing. So let's take a look at this signs and symbols card, because I think this is a good segue, especially since, we're talking about like a potential conversation happening or a potential shift with this person. So let's get some signs and symbols that this might be happening soon for you. So when you start, song lyrics. So maybe you start hearing like their name in a song, or, you're driving or walking down the street one day listening to music and you're like, those lyrics are like oddly specific to my situation. It's sort of like something where you normally wouldn't hear a specific song lyric, but you end up hearing it, I think will be a sign for you that this either conversation or this shift in your person is going to be happening shortly thereafter that. So keep an eye on some song lyrics there. And then let's get some zodiac signs to close out your reading today. These could be your zodiac signs or your person's placements. They could be timing. So just kind of take whatever resonates, I think in the other two piles, it was mostly around timing, at least from my perspective. So could be the case for you too, but we'll see. So you have Virgo, which Virgo season is just around the corner. I'm filming this at the end of June. So, or maybe they were Virgo, maybe you're a Virgo. You have Taurus and Sagittarius. So, okay, pile 3. These are all the messages I have for you today. I hope this reading resonated. Feel free to leave a comment below if it did. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.